Hi, and welcome back to another episode. You know what it is at this point. Even if I don't tell you the name, you know what this is. It's the podcast, it's the whatever this is podcast, the best podcast on Russian football. It is what it is. And this week we don't have the screen, as you might notice, because of two reasons. One is that my laptop is updating and it's taking way too long to update, and my computer doesn't have a webcam. So that's one reason. And the other more sensible reason is that our episode this week is going to be heavily dependent on the screen because it's going to be a very geeky episode. So we need the screen more than we need our faces. And we will probably go back to the faces at some point. Let us know what you think. Let us know what do you call it, setup you like more. But this week, as ever, I am joined by, first of all, my very special co-host, Mystic Mac, Artem. Artem, how you doing?
I feel like at this point every podcast starts with the same way, the same introduction, and I keep saying the same thing in response because I just can't think of anything else. But what's up, G?
Today is special, Artem. You may notice a bit of gravitas. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know, in my voice, and that is because this week I am honored. It feels like there is a ghost on the other side of this call with me and Artem. This is our guest this week has been so long in the making. I had to reach out to his booking agent. It's like I'm getting a feature from Jay-Z or Michael Jackson. Ever since this podcast started, I've been trying to get this man on, and finally I have succeeded. This week we are joined by the one, the only, Mr. Kai Connell. You may know him as the king of Hull City Twitter. You may also know him as the man behind FC Zenit N, the Zenit English account, as well as the Zenit second English account. If you don't know him and you're a part of Russian football Twitter, I don't know what you're doing. But Kai, we are honored. How does it feel to be here finally?
It's a big privilege. I'm glad I've finally taken the plunge.
We are glad as well that you're finally taking the plunge. Hull are playing right now, Kai. How are Hull doing? Because I don't actually
We
know.
are we're losing 1-0 still.
Are you losing 1-0 still?
Not in the game at all, but that's about right.
Yeah, so Kai is a big Hull City fan. His Twitter is mostly full of him slagging off Grant McCann, Ihab Alam, all those guys. So give it a follow. You have to give Kai a follow. It's an essential follow.
Can I just say, respect Kai for skipping the game. I assume you're watching it on another screen or something, are you?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, right. Well, respect for recording the podcast during the game because that's big. Like Hanu, you thought it was like trying to get Michael Jackson on just to get him on. Imagine trying to get him on during the game. Like that's a whole different story.
That's mad. This is actually mad. No, we are truly honored. And this week, finally getting into like why we have Kai on, and specifically because we would take Kai on anytime, but this week is specifically, this week is going to be a bit of a different episode. It's still going to have jokes because we can't like be without jokes. But this week we are basically going to be discussing the state of Russian football media, the state of the Russian football content game, on Twitter, on how clubs are doing off the pitch in Russia, and so on and so forth. And Kai, of course, extremely knowledgeable about this subject, works at Zenit. I used to work at Zenit. Those in the know why I don't. Still work at Zenit. Artem also knows a lot about this field, my guy. And we actually the topic for this podcast actually stems from a conversation that is quite common that takes place between me and Kai, or me and Artem, or me and David and Artem, or just everyone at RFN. So we brought Kai on. We're going to discuss, how the field is, what clubs need to do, have some discussion points lined up and stuff. But first, Artem, before we plunge into that, is there anything in the Russian football world that you want to get to? Some news item or something that caught your eye?
I mean, the only real news is what you have on the screen there is that Jared Hendrix has just moved to Spartak for a fee of 700,000, which is, like a lot of people will be thinking like, what the hell? How did they get him for so cheap? His contract running out at the end of the season, so that's why. Now this is going off FM again. Like if you listen to the podcast, you know how me and Hanu love our FM saves. I signed him for Krasnodar when his contract ran out, and he was amazing in the league. So if that's anything to go by, he's going to be great. Although a lot of Russian commentators are saying that he's probably not going to bring Spartak to the next level. But we'll see. What do you think about it, Hannah?
Listen, I'd rather trust your FM save than Russian commentators. and
That's fair point.
No, I would definitely rather trust your FM save, and you got him for a free though. You didn't have to pay any money, right?
Yeah, I got him for free, but like I'm sure Spartak probably could have got him for free at the end of the season as well. But there would have been more clubs looking for him, and maybe this will be the signing that gets them to win the league or something like that. So I can see why they've signed him in advance.
The funny thing about him is he looks just like a player that would play for Spartak.
Is that just because he's wearing red kits and all those photos?
No, it's because he's bald and looks like a guy named Vladimir or something.
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think he looks Russian or Eastern European for that matter. No,
nah, he
really.
does. Look at that photo though.
No, see, I don't think. I think he looks Dutch.
Fair enough. Kai, does he look Dutch or does he look Russian?
I can't really. I'd say more Dutch, to be honest. He's bald, and then Van Gerwen's bald, and I watch darts a lot.
Van Gerwen.
He brought darts. This guy just had to bring darts into it. He just had to bring every week. Every guest we have, I swear, just brings a different sport into it. Ilya brings NFL. Not Kai. Kai is a darts fan. Artem is a golf fan. I'm a cricket fan.
Hang on, Kai. Did you see the controversy in darts recently about, was it Gary Anderson complaining that your man who was playing against him, was it Mensah or someone like that? I think that's his name. That was playing too slow.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Mensah Sulovic.
Yeah, him. Did you watch that game?
I didn't watch that game.
I watched it back, and I didn't think he was playing that slow. But I don't know anything about darts, so.
Wait, Artem, don't tell me you're watching darts over cricket.
Darts is actually really fun to watch. Kai will definitely vouch for this. If you watch darts, you think that it's boring as fuck, but it's non-stop. It's not like a game of darts that you'd have with your mates where it's you'll take 3 shots and it takes someone else fucking 2 hours to take their 3 shots, and you're just talking in between. They're in the zone, and there's games and sets and everything else, and it's just good. And when you get 180, the crowd does a big celebration, and obviously there's no crowds now, but it's still good.
Indeed.
Do you guys have a favorite darts player or something?
I do.
Who is it?
What's he called?
Gotta be Garen Price for me.
Right.
Nice.
Where's he from?
Wales.
Oh, he's from Wales. I thought, are there any Hull people in darts?
Not that I know of.
Are you going to be the first Hull person in darts?
Absolutely not.
Do you know what though? There's a whole person in tennis, Hannah, and he's actually good. Yeah.
Oh, it's Paul Judd.
Paul Judd. I watched him at Wimbledon. He was you know what? I was sitting beside his relatives, and the guy who I went with. What?
He went to my school.
Did he?
Mm.
Look at how small the world is.
He's a good player, and he gave a good account of himself last Wimbledon, which was 2019 now because of COVID and all that. But
yeah, you did.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah, I hope he does well. Do you know what? I like Hull. Maybe it's just because I like Kai, but I like Hull. It's a cool place.
For sure.
Big
for
city,
sure, it is.
Big city.
Yeah. It is some call it a crap town, but I do really want to go to Hull. If I ever hit the UK, I will. Hull will definitely be on my list. But now, speaking of weird sports, before we do get into our discussion, I've over the past couple of days been really engrossed into this India versus Australia Test cricket series that's going on. And now people know, people that meme cricket usually say that it's a 5-day thing and people are wearing white and there's no fun and there might not even be a result at the end of it. And that's called Test cricket, and most of it isn't like that, but this one was. And Australians are fucking cheats at cricket, man. Let me tell you something. These guys are like Millwall. They are like Millwall. They are regarded as Millwall. Their players keep cheating. There was racist abuse from the stands aimed at Indian players, and that made me really mad. So I really wish that we would win. We didn't actually win, but we drew the game, and from the place we were at in the match, we actually did really well. It's like being 3-0 down in the 60th minute and coming back to draw 3-3. So we did pretty well. And the final game is in a couple of days, and it's going to be mad. But that's a little update over there.
That's mad. I keep saying to Hannah, that we had a little joke about this before the show, but that I've hung around with a few Indians in my time, and every single one of them's man, I'm telling you, when there's a big cricket game on, we'll go to the pub or we'll go to
For
like
sure.
the cricket
For
stadium.
sure.
Like there's not big cricket in Ireland, but like we'll go and watch a cricket match and you'll see that it's good. I still don't believe it, but
No, that's the
I'm
thing. That's
open
the
to
thing.
seeing it.
No, but Ireland's cricket team is decent. You guys like the World Cup and stuff. So
Yeah, but like that doesn't mean anything to me.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't. But the thing is, you need to really watch the. If an IPL game ever takes place and we are in close proximity, I'm going to show you the IPL game, and I have no doubt you'll come to like it at the end of the day. But if you watch
We'll
like one of
see.
those Test cricket games, they are like on for 6 hours and no one's making runs. Like the objective is just to keep playing. So
Yeah.
like a guy will like our guys like played at 200 balls. They were on the pitch for 3 hours and got like 20 runs, which is very little. Kai
Wait,
knows
what's
this.
the point of that though?
The point is in Test cricket, the point is to in every other cricket, the thing is that if you don't make as much as your opponent made, you lose. But
Yeah.
the thing in Test cricket is that it's over 5 days. Everyone gets a chance twice. And if you make more runs than the opposing person, then you win. But if you don't, and if you just don't get out, if your entire team doesn't get out, then that's a draw. So you're not going to understand any of it. But the best way to put it is like this, right? That you only have 10 men on a football pitch, and you're down 3-0 with 30 minutes to go, and you come back and draw 3-3. That's what happened in that India Australia game.
Okay, well
So
that's insane.
yeah, it is pretty insane. Right, moving over to content. Kai,
Yes.
who is the best Russian club in terms of content?
Zenit.
Are we going to do that? We
Yes, I
I,
am.
I thought this was going to be an honest podcast, and I'm not going to cut this out. Okay, apart from Zenit, who is the best Russian club right now?
Spartak are running the show, some could say.
Some could. Are you one of them? Yes, you are one of them.
Okay.
You are one of them. By the way, read this interview we did with Thomas Fibel. Pretty crazy interview. Just give it a read. Artem, who do you think is the best club right now in Russian football? Please don't be biased.
It's not Spartak. It could be Spartak, but it's not Spartak. I don't know. Like the thing is, there's a few clubs that have done well recently. Like Spartak's been getting more interactions than anyone else. So if you're looking at it purely from that perspective, then I guess you could say that they're the best. I think Lokomotiv are a good mix of
That is
like
true.
football Twitter and actual real tweets. Whereas
Yes.
Spartak are just completely like they're twerking for football Twitter.
Yeah.
Which look, it's worked for them, and I'm not gonna lie. Like I've seen some of their tweets, and some of their tweets are genuinely amazing. Like the one with Messi, the one that they like messaged him
Yeah.
on Instagram and said, "Oh yeah, like whatever, hi Leo," and he said no, obviously like fake, but like that was an amazing tweet. Like that was really good. And the thing is, it doesn't. They're making fun of themselves there, so that's
Yeah,
completely fine. But when they're taking the piss out of like Frank Lampard or something, like or Chelsea fans or something, that's like, well, like now you're just making enemies for no reason. Like, what's the point? You know, like, and like over the last year, like say year and a half, Zenit have been doing less with football Twitter than they did before. Like Kai, I remember you and the like all the other lads at Zenit, like whoever was running the page throughout those years, like you had some banging tweets, and it was all like in good humor. It was nothing like the Spartak guys. So I still prefer Zenit to Spartak. I think Lokomotiv are really good as well.
Right, that's fair. So you think what I like the fact that we're getting right into the territory that we wanted to get into because, like you say, like Spartak's rise has been immense. They gained 5,000 followers in a single day, which is absolutely mad. Look at this rise that they have had, which is only in the past week. They've gained
Yeah.
9,000 followers in the past week. If they keep going like this, Zenit will be in the dust soon. And that's look at this. When do they say 60 days they'll have more followers than Zenit if they keep going with this trajectory. I don't know if
Wait,
that'll happen.
how many fans or followers does Anna have? I thought it was like 70,000, no?
54.7.
54.7. Okay.
Yeah,
Yikes.
it is a X. By the way, if any Spartak media people are listening to this, we have nothing against you guys. If any Zenit media people listening to this, we have nothing against you guys. We love you all. If any Lokomotiv people are listening to this, we love you all. There's no, if we critique you, then there's no point of malice towards you. It's just we're critiquing. It's only our opinion. So keep that in
No,
mind.
that's the thing. Like, if anyone from any of those clubs is actually listening, or any other clubs for that matter, we can all appreciate the work that you're doing, and it's bringing a limelight onto Russian football, and that's fantastic. It's just like I would, at times, like I said, look, a lot of Spartak tweets are amazing.
Yeah.
But some of the ones that are like aimed at other football clubs rather than like making a joke out of your own, or like you basically, when you make someone else the antagonist of your jokes, that's when I'm kind of like, see, that's not really sustainable. Like, you're not gonna make mad followers off that like you would off like the Leo Messi thing is the thing that made them those 5,000 followers in one day.
Yeah.
And that was making a joke about their own club.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely fine, and that's probably the best way to go about it. So look, maybe they're just like figuring out what works best. Maybe they're still in that stage.
Yeah. Kai, do you agree with Artem on that stance?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of it, to be fair. But you could argue, would that Messi tweet do as well if they didn't do all the stuff before it?
I think it would. I think obviously like it might get off to a slow start. But I think it would still reach football Twitter. Like, it's not like the Messi tweet was the first football Twitter thing they did. They had a few very good tweets beforehand as well. It's just that like, I think we all appreciated, we like me, Miko, and Hanu have a group chat together. So I think we all appreciated some of their, exactly. I think we all appreciated some of their earlier tweets. I can't think of any of them off the top of my head, but maybe like 2 months ago we were saying like, oh Jesus, this Spartak account is really taking off. And then there was a time for like a month or so where we were just like what are they doing? I think we all kind of agreed with that. And I don't think that like the followers they gained in that time where we were saying what are they doing would have made too much difference to the final numbers that tweet did, the Leo one.
Yeah. That's the thing, and we're getting into some really interesting territory here right now. The thing is, first of all, I want to ask you guys, and we've asked this question to ourselves in the chat as well, and we've all had different answers. I don't remember mine, but for the audience as well, Kai, how long do you think Spartak's meteoric rise to fame, how long do you think they can sustain it? How long do you think they can keep gaining thousands of followers a day, thousands of followers a week? What are your thoughts?
I honestly don't know at this point, because it was sort of the summer sort of season start when they were really picking up, and we all noticed that. Then we all said, "Oh, give it a couple of months, it might die down." But they just come back more and more with more different, more creative ideas, which work.
Yeah.
So I reckon once their own creativity dries up, then that could be it. But the likes of Bayer Leverkusen and Roma, they carried it on for a good few seasons.
That is true. Artem, what do you think?
How long will the meteoric rise continue?
Yes.
I don't know. Like, it really depends. Like I said, I don't think it's sustainable to be like outing, like say Chelsea or someone like that. I think you can make a lot of enemies doing that. If they continue to do tweets like the Leo Messi one, like a lot of the other ones they've done, where it's surrounded around their club and not others' clubs, I think that they can still grow a lot. Like, if you look at how Zenit's grown, obviously, like Zenit, like you said, are 55k at the moment, and like that's a lot due to the tweets that have been going up over the last 18 months or so. So like I do think that there's still a lot of room for growth. I think they'll probably reach Zenit's level. I don't know how far they can go after that. It really depends.
Yeah, it depends on their on-pitch performance as well. Let's say if they get Champions League, and let's say if they get a big opponent, then of course that's going to help. But
for sure.
Kai, I didn't expect that AS Roma are dropping followers like this. I didn't know that. I thought they would be gaining. And because this AS Roma are the biggest sort of football Twitter account. They sort of spearheaded this whole funny tweet banned meme thing. So
what's Leverkusen's like?
Yeah, let's see what Bayer Leverkusen's is like. Shout out Bayer Leverkusen as well. Bayer Leverkusen are growing steadily. So
pretty good.
Yeah, 4,000. But look, Spartak actually might be the biggest club in terms of growth at the moment in the world, which is absolutely mad, by the way. I have to get credit for that because Kai, me and you, we joined Russian football Twitter at around the same time, didn't we?
2018, yeah.
Yeah, 2018, and we were sort of involved in 2017, just like playing FIFA and stuff. So around that time, and at that time, Zenit was the only club in Russia that had an active English Twitter account. There was no Spartak. I mean, they probably had them, but they didn't run them. CSK weren't there, and the league didn't do anything in Russian. It was actually after the World Cup that the league rebranded. So we have come along. Yeah, go on.
Can I just bring something up? They didn't do much in English yet, absolutely, but like, I think still you need to give credit to like. Do you remember Yenisei when they had their?
Yeah, exactly.
They had a really good run on Russian social media, and like for them it's more important to get those like Russian fans on board than it would be even getting foreign ones. And I think like props needs to go to them for the way that they grew as well. And obviously Marquis is his name, isn't it?
Yeah, Marquis. He fell off, man. He really did.
I don't think he fell off. I think he cashed out at the top, and now
that's
it's just
true, probably. Yeah, he's at Scar Rostov on Don or something right now. So
yeah, like I feel like he probably just found himself something like comfortable enough. Actually, Scar Rostov, if that's actually where he's at, that means he's at the club that Basta, the rapper.
Yeah,
he owns the club.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
See, if he can own that club, Khabib can own it as well. This is another inside topic, but
we'll get to that topic later on.
We will get to that topic later on. But even Yenisei, that was around that, I think 18-19 was the season where they came in the RPL. So at that point, when Zenit India was in its peak, God rest its soul, rest in peace, Zenit India. When that was in its peak, that was the time that UFA created an English account. That was the time that Yenisei created their English account. And ever since then, the thing is that at least we have started to see growth, because even in Russian football, Rostov just now created an English account, but they sort of deaded it after a few weeks. Dinamo did the same. There's clubs in the FNL. Chaika now have an English account. And that Russian non-league football thing, which we'll get into as well, that has taken off, which you would have never thought Russian non-league clubs doing so well. There's a whole family of that now. So there definitely has been growth. And we have to credit that growth. But Artem, how do you think Russian football, the clubs and the what do you call it, the league and stuff, how do you think they continue to grow? And what's the peak? Okay, so do you think Russian football can ever be as big as, let's say, maybe the League One, or even if not the League One, then maybe let's say the Netherlands, Belgium, stuff like that? Or do you think it already is? Like, what do you think?
Internationally, like,
yeah,
I think it's difficult to get to the point of, let's say, like the Netherlands or France or someone like that. But I don't think it's unattainable. I think that the trajectory that Russian football is on is really good. I love the fact that you can stream on YouTube the matches from anywhere in the world, like besides Russia, obviously, because you watch it on TV there. But I think that's like genuinely one of the best things that they could have done. And like, I don't know about other people, but like the €5 a month that I spend on watching every single Russian football game is probably the biggest bargain ever. Like if you're like if you really want to watch football and don't like illegal streams, or you want to watch like a kind of a more hipster league, something that no one else is watching, you can get into Russian football for really cheap and be part of a community that's really, really good. Like out straight. Like the social media accounts are like you said, like they're growing massively. Locomotive, like even the Russian non-league ones and stuff like that, and like I the same thing with like I'm sure people know who listen to this podcast that I run No Context Russian Football, and like the reason I made that initially was because there were so many Russian football memes that I wanted to just have on hand, but like clearly, like people enjoy watching that as well, and I'd like to think that at least one person after seeing one of the posts was like, oh, you know what, maybe I'll check this league out. And I think social media is definitely a good way to grow the league. So
exactly.
I don't know. It's tough to say where the peak will be. I really like the trajectory, and I hope that they can push the YouTube more. And like, look, we'll see where it goes.
That's true. By the way, you remember that, completely off topic again, you remember that Iran thing I sent you? I think this is the exact photo they used. Do you
Yeah,
remember
I'm not
that?
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. But Kai, what do you think? And now I know, of course, about the YouTube in particular. When it was launched, me and you, we were live discussion we had about it, and we weren't exactly too hyped about it because we thought, well, they don't really have much of an existing audience. We don't know how well they're going to plug it. So how do you think the league has done over the past couple of years? How have you changed your mind on YouTube, and how do you think it can grow further?
On YouTube, I've not changed my mind. I don't believe there's a big core audience there which is strong enough to warrant a paywall.
Right.
But they have to just expand more before they can introduce something like that. But that can only happen through other things
TV
being
rights.
better. Yeah, TV rights or being back on FIFA.
Yeah.
Like seriously,
for sure.
PES is not
Being back on FIFA
PES
is
is not
huge,
the one.
Yeah. Now we
Spartak, Loco, and they're all on FIFA still, but it's not enough.
Kai,
not enough at
could
all.
you argue that maybe for the YouTube thing, right? I'm not against them taking away part of the paywall. I think that they, like, at the end of the day, they do need to somehow pay for the infrastructure that's there for it. Like, it's tough, especially because I don't think they run ads or anything on it. So like I don't know how they pay for, you know, everything there just to stream for free, and the Russian people get a VPN and watch it instead of paying for Match TV. I think it's just not viable that way. But would you think that maybe like it could be worth maybe having once a week, one match that's streamed for free?
That was exactly what I was about to say. One game for free, I think
Match
needs
TV
to happen.
do it. If Match TV can offer it in Russia, why can't YouTube offer 1 or 2 free games a week?
That would be genuinely. I think that would be a fantastic way to do that. Like I really like. I'd love to see, like, you know, 1 week Zenit. Like obviously, like I think Zenit against Spartak. Did they have that for free? Or am
No,
I?
they had the Super Cup for free.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So things like that. Like if you have like a massive game, like say Zenit against Spartak, like maybe have that for free. Like, because that's the best advertisement you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But if not, then have, like, you know, Locomotive 1 week, Spartak the next, Zenit the next. And if people start to like a certain team, they're going to be like, well, like, I might as well pay the like, say, €3 a month if you want to watch like, whatever it is. Like,
I know. I mean, I think that, or like you say, they don't run ads, but they can run ads. There's nothing pertaining them from running ads. There's nothing pertaining them from, and that's the thing. I think the issue with the league is that ever since Leonid Shlikov, who basically, if you don't know who he is, he's the guy who brought the whole YouTube thing into real life, who created this English account. He was basically in charge of the RPL's entire online rebrand from the point after the World Cup to until I think early 2020, where he went to Dynamo. He's currently at Dynamo now. I think ever since he left, it has become really, really formulaic, Kai and Artem. You see some highlights, you see some stats, you see some articles periodically, you see some sort of interactive tweets, but the interaction on them isn't exactly phenomenal. I feel like
It's
there are
boring.
ways. It is boring.
It's
Yeah,
boring.
it is boring. Well, listen, if you don't want to be honest about Zenit, I will sort of mince words with RPL and stuff. But like, it is boring, and they can be doing a lot more to push it, right? They can most definitely be doing a lot more to push it. And Kai, what do you think? Do you think the RPL can be as big as, let's say, I don't know, the French league, or let's say the Belgian league worldwide? And do you think, is there anything apart from selling TV rights? Because they are selling TV rights a little bit. I think they're in Central Asia now. There's one in La Liga TV. There is supposed to be one in the US, but it doesn't apparently work. Are there any other ways you think it can grow to that level?
I think socially it just needs to be more exciting. And I think Spartak do that pretty well. Then if anyone sees Spartak sort of content and wants to look at Russian Premier League content as a whole, it's just simply not there.
This is a really good point, Kai. Would you say that Spartak's tweets are great? Or they're pretty good, right?
They bring attention.
They bring attention, right? Fair enough. But would you say that the standard of Russian football content is good, is great.
In English or in Russian?
In everything. Because I think a clear line needs to be drawn between tweets and content. And I spoke to their ex-commercial director a while ago, and that's what he told me, is that, yeah, you can be good on social media, but the thing is that it doesn't take a lot to be good on social media. It's like a bare minimum. Like you can have one guy, and if the guy is creative, guess what? You're good on social media. But for you to create good content, like Ruben's Christmas video, which went viral, did amazing, probably one of the best pieces of content Russian football has ever seen. For that, you need to have an underlying structure and an underlying desire to actually do well. Now, how many Russian clubs you think are at that level? And yeah, that's my question.
Few. Very few.
So you do agree that there should be a distinction between content and tweets?
Yes.
Artem, what do you think? What do you think the level is like? What are your thoughts on this little argument?
I mean, there's good content, but not every club produces it. Like, I'm not aware of what Spartak do on their YouTube or anything like that. I'm aware of what Zenit do, and I'm a fan of what Zenit do. I haven't watched like Reevaluating, which is like basically like the back behind the scenes of Zenit games and things like that for a while. But now that the preseason starting, I may get back to watching that just to fill myself back in. Like, I think that's really well done. Like, Denis Denisov is a fantastic content creator. And Zenit should be happy to have him on board. Like I said, I don't know much about Spartak or Lokomotiv or anything. Ruben are good at it. They have some nice vlogs. But yeah, it's weird because like it's one thing producing YouTube content for a Russian club to a Russian audience because you know it's going to get some kind of amount of clicks, which is what I think most Russian clubs do. Producing it for English speaking people when there's not as much of an audience there is slightly different, I think. So I think maybe that's why there is a lack of content, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, the views seem to be fine everywhere. Spartak had decent views. Lokomotiv, I mean, they have lots of grand plans, but right now it's just press conferences and stuff. So even the Lokomotiv's Twitter is pretty good. And so on. FC Krasnodar aren't even there. You can't even find their channel. It's fair enough. Krasnodar, by the way, Krasnodar.
Can I just say, I prefer the.
Go on.
I prefer the content that covers the league as a whole rather than the clubs as individually. Like, I prefer to watch like Krasava instead of
exactly.
Of Zenit.
Exactly. That's also.
I prefer to watch like Nabaila Rustaman. Like he's really good as well. Like all those kind of people who like cover leagues as a whole and like players in it and stories in it rather than like I feel like club content never gets like obviously for obvious reasons. There's a lot of things that you can't say as a club and things like that. But like I think that those things is really what's pushing the league. And I'd almost like I think that if you had something like that in English, I think that would be interesting too.
Yeah, that's the thing, because the league itself can also produce lots of content on its own content. Like it can tie up with Krasava, let's say, and I don't know, give them a tour of if the league's offices are nice or something like that. You know, like how they do like tours of like Google offices and stuff, and it's just really flowery and it's really cute stuff like that. Or you tour up with Nobel and you do an interview. They are doing something similar on their website where they're interviewing people like that work behind the scenes, so like groundsmen and stuff. But like Artem says, written content will never get as much value as audiovisual content. It's never going to get as many views, like to a general audience, right? So I don't know. I feel like.
Well, maybe.
Go on.
I was just going to suggest maybe we like this is just purely me chatting shit on the top of a podcast, but like maybe we should produce a piece of content and just see how it does. Like just to see, will say like a story from the RPL. Even with fucking shitty, like production value, will it do better than like a, you know, like just a regular podcast or something like that? Like, will it do like okay?
You mean like a video or an article?
No, a video. Like look, articles for me, like.
People, I mean, I'm open to doing that for sure.
Yeah, like I was thinking maybe like we could even ask like Connell Duffy. He was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. He's really good at production stuff. Maybe we produce a story and just see if anything happens with it. Like not even expecting it, just like as a little experiment. Like I think that I think that there's definitely content out there to be had, and like you said, written never gets the same as YouTube, and I think that's like there's a fair reason for it. Like, look, I have said this to you, like I've probably written more articles for RFN than I've read. Like I really like stories like that. Like I'll skim through them or something like that. Whereas a video, you can really get immersed, and if the person who's telling the story is a good storyteller, if they're like giving you like these details and stuff, like it's just a whole different level. So you know.
By the way, we are losing all of our industry connects today. We are snitching on everybody. We're going to diss everybody. So after the end of this, it's going to be me, you, and Kai, and we're going to start our own media company because we'll have no friends at the end of it.
I don't think I don't think we're like doing anything. I don't think we're.
No, I'm just
having
kidding
enemies
around.
here. I think
I'm
that
kidding
people
around.
like even like Ivan Korzh, like
Yeah,
one of the biggest, like one of the smartest people in Russian football media by far.
for sure. He's a legend.
He is a serious, like, I have so much respect for that man. But I think even he would like. I think there's times where he has deleted tweets from the Spartak English Twitter and stuff like that. Like there was one, remember, where the Scottish thing.
Yeah.
Where with like
that
Scotland beat Serbia.
Yeah.
And like that was a problem because like all the Spartak fans were like, well, like our brothers, they always have been, and like now like Spartak is supporting Scotland. So
exactly.
It's just one of those things where like I think that he's willing to experiment with things, and I think that he can agree that not everything he does is the right thing, but when he does the right thing, it's the best thing he possibly could have done.
For sure.
And big respect for him and a lot of other people in the industry. So I hope if anybody is listening to this and thinking that we're shitting on people, we're absolutely not. Like I have so much respect for all those people. And like those people are so much more knowledgeable about media than me.
See, exactly. That's the thing. By the way, if you are thinking of a career in football, go for it. Don't let anyone get you down. Try your luck at it. Just see where it takes you, right? Because this podcast, we started off as just bands, right? And still it is bands, but we didn't really expect to get any views. We didn't expect to get anything. All of us, Kai, anyone, we've only started off as fans. RFN started off as fans. And to see where RFN started, to see where it is now, it's big, right? And go on RFN, by the way.
That's the thing. Like,
go on.
Sorry, I'll let you finish.
No, the thing is, I'm just saying, go read these interviews we have. We did one with Kai. We did one with Rubin's guy. We did one most recently with Lokomotiv's social media chief, Tim Bayramov, who is amazing fella. Read this interview. He had another really rags to riches story in football. He had to work in a butcher shop. He's a cybersecurity specialist. He did an engineering degree or something. He studied physics, and now he's the head of everything at Loco, and he's really making moves. So it just tells you, do your thing. And he says it as well. Don't be afraid of change, and don't be afraid of trying something new. Don't be mad formulaic with your stuff, right? And that's what Ivan is doing, and he's succeeding at it. But yeah, go on, Artem, my bad.
Can't even remember what I was going to say, to be honest. But yeah, like for sure, like these, like, you know, these people in media, like in Russian football media in general, has been very good recently.
Yeah.
Like all these people, like you said, like Tim and Ivan and all these people, like they're doing really, really good work, and I hope that they continue to do in the future. But I remember what I was going to say is RFN, like it's not even like it's the biggest English Russian football site, right?
Yeah.
And just purely because of that, there's opportunities everywhere. Like David has done interviews. I think he's done interviews on radio. Like during the World Cup, they were like we partnered up with the Moscow Times and did articles for them. Like there's absolutely, like, even if you think that Russian football in English is the most niche thing in the world, there's still someone out there who wants to listen or read about it.
Of course. Yeah.
And look, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Like this is what me and Hanu want to do. Like we just sit around and usually chat shit about rap and NBA and stuff like that, but sometimes we talk about Russian football because that's what we want to do.
Exactly. Look, I mean, Kai as well. Kai is a great story because Kai, he works at Zenit. Now he's studying a thing about football full time at university. He wants to work in football. So there's opportunities everywhere. You just got to look for them. Now, Kai, I'm going to come to you again, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say you are for a day or for more than a day, you are made the head of media at the Russian Premier League.
Brilliant.
Like, what content do you produce for the YouTube channel? What are the changes you bring in?
Anything audio visual would be a start.
Right.
Like an OnlyFans or something.
From a football match.
I know, on RFN OnlyFans. I mean RPL OnlyFans. That'd be mad. RFN OnlyFans was a thing though. They're not gonna know about it, but it was a thing.
They've got to get a bit more involved than just showing the match.
Yeah.
Because it's all well and good seeing the match, but I don't know anything about, like, as a neutral, they don't know anything about maybe people in it if they're a more casual and, say, an RFN reader.
That is true. And I think Russian football as a whole, it needs to get, I don't want to use the word volunteers, because that at points sounds a bit exploitative, but volunteers essentially, people from other countries, people that know about other markets, people that just are interested. Because in Russia, anyone you talk to, and the first question they ask you, why do you talk about Russian football? We are so weird. We have so many issues. How is this appealing to a foreigner? But guess what it is, right? So, like, clubs need to get
appealing for all those reasons, you should say.
Exactly, it is appealing for all this. So, like, so many people are willing to work for free, willing to work for like little money just to bring the league up and stuff up. So clubs need to take cognizance of that and start to work on that. Artem, like you said, we've mentioned NC Rus football already. We've mentioned Nobel Arstamian, we've mentioned Krasava and stuff. We'll mention ourselves, we'll mention RFN. How important do you think fan run content or user created or consumer created content is in the increasing publicity of a league, right? Because the thing I look at is Bundesliga, there's mad people creating content. There's analytics blogs, so on and so forth. Dutch league, there's less people, but there are still a lot of people creating content on that. Netherlands, same. MLS, same. Argentina, same. Brazil, same. Russian football in English, especially, there's comparatively less. There's RFN. There used to be Football Grad. Yeah. Then then there's us, but we are essentially part of RFN. But that's in English. In Spanish and Italian and those languages and French, there is more, but I would say comparatively less. So, how do you think? What role do you think that plays in the like promotion of a league?
I think it's huge. Like I think that if there like clearly there's a community in Russian football. Like we know probably like Jesus, I don't even know how many people off the top of my head, but would it be fair to say over 100 at this point? On Twitter, purely who are like same kind of interests, and we all follow each other, and like fan content is huge. Like in general, people at this point, I would argue, want to hear from real people more than they do from professionals. And like that's why Twitter is such a big thing. Like Twitter is one of the biggest sites in the world right now, and it's because people can really like you can really meme together and you can really connect with anyone in the world. And I think that like if you know someone who's producing the content that you enjoy, and if that tends to be Russian football, like if you don't really want to read the Sport Express articles, or you want to get straight opinions from people who are watching the same games as you are, it's where you go. If you had no one to connect with on those on Twitter or those kind of websites, then you wouldn't be following the league. So I think that they play a massive role. It's obviously look Russian football content on Twitter and VK and stuff like that is way bigger.
Yeah, for sure. So it's huge. For Russian football, of course, it's huge. Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like you could ask, forget about Russian football for a minute. Look at like Arsenal Fan TV or all those fan channels. Look at like like Redman TV or like any of those channels from the Premier League. Like there's a reason that people watch them. Like I'd argue that there's a lot of videos that, well, it's not even an argument, it's just a fact. There's a lot of videos that those fan channels get more views than a lot of the professional things that are out there. And it's because people want to hear real fan opinions. Like they don't always want to hear experts. Sure, it's great to hear from like whoever's on Sky Sports that weekend, but like you also want to hear from the people on the ground who are watching the match. And like
fam, if you look at my YouTube history and if you look at my chats with Kai as of recent, all we do is send each other memes of Arsenal Fan TV. That is all we do. Ty does this, DT does this. It's hilarious. It honestly is. It's hilarious. And we've sent Artem a couple of them as well. But Kai, what do you think of how important you think fan created content is for the success of a league.
Yeah, they're big.
Are you there? Yeah, what were you going to say? I was not going to say anything. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Nice little
No,
exchange.
I do think it's big. And a good example is that GetFrenchFootballNews.
Yeah.
They're very good for French football. Like, they are always on the ball. If I want to know something about it, they usually know about it, and they will have something about it. They're a good example of it outside of Russia. Inside of Russia, there's that the French account, which is doing quite nicely. I imagine if a few more French players came to the league, more French people would see that account, and then it'd go on from there.
Yeah, there's. I mean, look, Austria has other Bundesliga.
Yeah.
Serbia has Serbian footy. Spanish is mad Spanish stuff. Belgium has its own podcast. Russian football is Russian football. GFFN, like you say, and that's the thing. I mean, actually, one of my points is: can RFN ever be as big as Get French Football News, Kai?
Yes. Yeah. Completely.
You think it can? Like, I'm talking followers. I'm talking impact. I'm talking because if you look at the differences, of course they have more than 10 times the followers RFN has, but that's also because French football is a lot bigger than Russian football, right? And it's not fully in RFN's hands to become as big, because everything, if you at the end of the day, is based on what goes on the pitch. If Russia ever wins the Champions League, guess what? RFN might actually Russia ever wins the Champions League. If a Russian club ever wins the Champions League, we might become as big. But GFFN, they have this book content, they have analysis, they have lots of exclusive news, they have their own little network at this point, they have a very frequently updated website. So you do think that RFN can become as big as GFFN?
Completely. Especially if it got, I don't know how it would work, but if Get French Football News and RFN were to collaborate and become part of the network, I don't see why not.
But do you think how much of that, do you think that can happen with Russian football being in the state it is, or would you
it's
need
only
it
going to
to
get
improve?
bigger. It's only going to get bigger.
Right, and what do you think RFN needs to improve? Straight question. Go ahead.
There's many things.
Go ahead.
Slowly but surely, since 2018, it's been getting better and better. We've got a bit of television you can watch. There's finally an active social media in English.
No, yeah, I'm talking about RFN.
RFN?
Yes.
Consistency.
Right. Are you going to diss the social media manager?
No.
Okay,
I mean,
you.
there was a period in time where RFN was a bit quiet, and then they came and drop a couple of articles, go quiet, drop a couple of articles, and then come back again. I think consistency is important. I think maybe getting contacts of sorts, getting exclusives would also benefit it.
Yeah, that's true. Because I think the thing with RFN is they have mad contacts, lots of mad footballers, like Vern Bloom and Noboa. We did the interview with Noboa. RFN is known, but the thing is, a lot of RFN's growth took place in 2013 to 16, and then at the World Cup. And since then, it's not been as pronounced. And that's due to different reasons. People have grown to become they've gone to college, they've had to go to work, the team has changed, so on and so forth, right? But yeah, so there's that. Artem, what do you think RFN needs to improve? Do you think it can become as big as this? And let's say if you were made the king of RFN, the king of the Republic of RFN, what changes would you bring about? What content would you produce? How would you go about it?
Firstly, I think that it can definitely get to that stage if you picked up Neymar and Mbappe and gave them to someone in the Russian league.
Yeah.
So I think like Kai said, I think he's absolutely right that the main thing that's happening is on the pitch. So if a really marquee player moved to the Russian league, we'd see an influx. I almost guarantee it that we'd see an influx straight away of people coming to the side, and I think that probably happened when Malcolm came, but even he is not as big as some of the previous transfers that have happened in the past. I think it needs to be something like that. There definitely needs to be some kind of big player to come in, but saying that also, that might not be the best thing for the clubs. So, it's tough. But Look, I think that the RFN, like I said, they used to drop an article, and that'd be it. Like that's the only interaction you'd get. I think that, you're doing a good job now with interacting with people. And I saw someone actually asked you a question, and you replied to them. It was about the Serbian defender.
Yeah.
So like it's things like that that'll just keep you in the back of people's minds. And I think that, steady growth, like it's grown since you've come in, and I think it's going to continue to grow. I think it's just finding out what works.
Oh, thanks, man.
So like,
yeah,
look, fingers crossed it continues to grow. I think that the thing on the pitch is the main thing, and if something interesting happens on the pitch, then things can really bang. And I think that one of the things as well with GetFrenchFootballNews that happens is that they tend to post all the viral content for French football.
Mm-hmm.
In Russian football,
it's not
I tend to post it. David tends to post it. You tend to post it. It's not the same account. It's all like spread across different valleys. So, like David has a big profile in Russian football purely because he tends to be on the ball with these things, and that's absolutely great for the league, and it's great for his profile. But it's also like that's a missed opportunity for our fan. So it's just that kind of stuff that I think.
Yeah, it's like communism and capitalism.
Let's not get into that.
Let's not get into that.
I'm not sure I get your point there.
Communism, I mean, I guess what I mean to say is communism is you're working towards a common goal under one banner. Yeah. And that's if you do everything with RFN, whereas the other thing is like you could be working individually and you're not really involving the state. So the state is RFN.
I'm not sure that I agree with that, because I think that David's still pushing to push the league. I don't think he's pushing to push himself. Like David's not that kind of guy. So like,
no, I'm saying that this, like, the country is RFN, not the league. So like, are you looking to push RFN, or are you looking like? It's a terrible analogy. I'll give you that.
It's a
terrible analogy. Right? That's the best.
There was a very funny debate about capitalism and communism on the
Jesus Christ,
timeline recently.
No, please not.
It lasted like 2 days.
No, it lasted.
You know who I'm talking about.
It was like a test match, man. It was like a test cricket match. That lasted 5 days. This was at least 3 days. So let's not get into that. But and now I've forgotten what I was talking about.
We were talking about how RFN could get big, and then you were saying that like,
I was gonna say.
Posting, then
I was gonna say, I think Russian football will hipster its way up. It's not gonna like buy like mad money players. I think it's gonna hipster its way up. It's gonna be like, those clubs that buy for cheap and sell for high. Yeah, like Krasnodar and them will push it up. I think that's what's gonna happen.
I wonder if Hendrix will give it some kind of push. Russian football, like. Look, I'm not saying that he's a massive player who's going to bring in like thousands of fans or anything, but like, is he one of those players that's on like the verge of contention for like the national team spots? Like, has he been in the national team recently or no?
I think he has one cap, which was a while ago.
Okay, right. So, well, like he was highly rated as a youngster. I remember that. Like, so like if he can fulfill his potential or become one of the leaders of Spartak, then maybe the Dutch team will start looking at him, and maybe a lot of Dutch people will think like, oh look. We'll give him a look, and that could bring people in.
That's the thing. Like that's why this season was so disappointing in Europe, because if we actually did well and the potential was there, then it would have boomed. Like Krasnodar still could boom if they get to like the later stages of the Europa League, and they still did to some extent. We got a lot of publicity from the Chelsea game, Zenit and stuff, but it was just a missed opportunity as a whole in Europe. So
can I just say that I do understand why it's difficult to like play in the RPL and play in the and play in Europe at the same time, because like the RPL does not give you a break. Like I'm not talking about like a winter break or something. I'm talking about like it does not give you a break from like you're always in contention for Europe. If you're a European club, there's 7 teams that are going for that spot, and if you're focusing on getting to the like last 16 Champions League, yeah, great, fantastic. But what if you're not there next season? You've just missed out on money, and you've probably lost a lot of your players who want to play in the Champions League. So it's probably important for a lot of clubs to just consistently stay in Europe. Which is like, look, don't get me wrong, it's a bad thing in one way because teams aren't going far, but it's also a good thing because there's always competition.
I don't know Kai, what do you think about that? I don't know if I agree with that.
Russian football needs to do a lot more in Europe.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I did. I heard you. It really does need to do a lot more. I think Artem has a point, but I think a lot of. I mean, the limit is an issue, but I still think clubs can build squads to like still perform well enough in Europe.
For
I
sure.
don't know. Yeah,
For
I don't know.
sure.
I don't know. That's a conversation we've had a lot on this podcast.
Well, look, I'm not saying that they shouldn't focus on both, but I can see that some clubs probably don't
Yeah,
always
that's
have
true.
the opportunity to do that, And it's like, look, if you're looking at long-term development of a club, even if you're as a manager, like if you're looking at like say Murad Musayev got
Yeah,
look, he's gotten to the Europa League, right?
yeah.
That's a great feat given it's his first
Yeah, for
season in
sure.
Europe. But if he didn't
Krasnodar
get into the
did that.
Europa League, if he didn't get into Europe this season, then it's like it's a failed season. You know what I mean? So I
And
can
we have
see why a
and
lot
we have
of
our point.
managers even would look at it that way.
I don't know. I guess maybe Krasnodar is different, but I feel like with Zenit, it's a necessity to do well in Europe, just because of how
Yeah, no,
ambitious the club is.
with
Just
Zenit, yeah, absolutely. Like
yeah,
they should be top three every season for sure, and they should be getting out of group stages of any competition they're in for sure. There's no excuse.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I mean, I do hope Russian football does get better. I mean, we say it every week, and we still mean it.
Well, Hanu, you've only been around for a couple of years. I've been saying this for about a decade now. So
Yeah, that is true. No, I saw because one of my hobbies is to just like type in, let's say, RFN and just search like the word sign or transfer, so I can like
yeah,
see like what people who was gonna sign in 2016, and under one tweet which was like in mad long, like 2016 or 17, I think it was Mancini era. I'm not sure. Artem was in the comments like, "Oh yeah, Hernani has signed. Looks like a very promising player. Let's hope Zenit can kick on and do well in Europe this season." And that was
spoiler
4 years
alert,
ago.
they didn't.
They didn't. Hernani was trash, and they really did not do well. I don't know. I do hope we do better.
No, for
But
sure. Like there's like all these things coming together would be absolutely like the World Cup was a huge event and like that. I feel like look, if you had been the admin of RFN at that point, I think that could have easily doubled followers. I think that look, RFN did a good bit for the World Cup. Like I wrote articles on it. Like everyone was really on the ball,
yeah,
but I still think a lot more could have been done, and this would have been in the early days of like real like the Get French Football News. Like I don't know how many followers they would have had in 2018, but like like this would have been early days in like fan interaction and stuff like that. So I wish that it had been done more back then for our fan because it would be in a different place now. But look, there's nothing that you can that you can't turn back time. So
yeah, exactly. I know. I
it's
mean,
only making sure that we do this in the future.
yeah, that's the thing. I think with RFN, to end off on the RFN topic, I think RFN needs audio visual content, but of course it's easier said than done, especially with how small and fan run RFN's team is.
Yeah.
I think some variety in the written content also needs to be there, and we actually tried to get some writers on board. We did get a couple of writers on board. Hopefully more people will come on. So right now it's mostly long form reads, interviews, things like that. So maybe for the XG merchants, you could get like an XG piece, or even like the really click friendly pieces, like 10 signings to watch out for, or 10 players, or some shit like that. I don't know. I think that will help.
Well, you do those in tweets, and I almost think that it's better to have them
Yeah,
as tweets.
exactly. That's another argument, right? Kai, do you think the point of a website and is obsolete in the current day? Because if you're not in it to make money, right, and if you're in it for the engagement, is it
Mm.
better to just do it as a tweet? Because the website isn't leading anywhere. It's not giving you more money, and tweets are essentially as big as a form of engagement these days. So, what do you think of that?
That is a very good question, to be fair. In our FN instance, I think the website is merely there to act as a place to read more long form.
Yeah.
I think you get more of short, snappy sort of content from just a tweet than like a short article.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing, because, yeah, I think that is a thing to think about, right? Is because I don't know. I don't think RFN has AdSense, and if it does, I'm not sure how well it's doing. But the
They do
average
have
tweet,
AdSense. They used to be all Bet365 ads and stuff like that on it. Now I don't think it's it's the point where it's actually worth mentioning the money.
Exactly. No, because the average tweet it could just be a small tweet about, let's say, Rotor signing a player no one's ever heard of. That gets around 3,000 impressions.
Yeah.
And let's say a couple of likes. And the average article on RFN is not going to get 3,000. I don't think an article. There haven't been many articles in RFN history that have got 3,000 impressions. Now, even if 150 people just read that and you cut that down from the impression, there's still a lot of people. So I guess in that instance, the point of the website is obsolete. Artem, do you think RFN needs a rebrand?
No, I think depends what kind of rebrand you're talking about. If you're talking about does it need to be called something other than RFN?
No.
Does it need a different logo or anything like that?
The logo, maybe a bit of the YouTube, maybe some of the graphics, shit like that.
Graphics, maybe. They did do a thing with graphics a couple of years ago that were nice. I can't remember if it was Neil or someone like that who did it. The logo, looking at it now, maybe it needs to be just modernized. But to be honest, I like it and it's recognizable. I think the name Russian Football News doesn't need a rebrand at all. I think that's perfect. True. YouTube definitely, but the question is who's going to be doing it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that could happen, but you've got to realize that a lot of things won't happen. Just purely because all the time takes a lot of time and commitment, and
yeah,
it's harder said than done. Now, saying that, I think that it would be great if it could happen. So
yeah, that is true. I know the talks are ongoing. We have talked inside RFN about changing the website a bit, changing a bit of the logos. Kai, what do you think? You said it does need a rebrand. What do you think?
Yes, I don't like the website.
You don't?
It's very square and just a bit too rigid as a website.
Right.
If that makes any sense, I just think that could be more modernized. I don't really like the logo. That could be more modernized and just a bit bare in general.
Yeah, I think
I can see what you mean by the website. I even just noticed that the Instagram logo. Look how old that is.
The YouTube one.
Yeah.
YouTube,
I don't really know what would be done on there. I know the predictions and podcasts go on there.
I think
there's not much to modernize there.
YouTube stuff can be done, but you need manpower and you need resources for that.
Yeah.
But the thing I think James told me about RFN, the website theme, is that to change the website theme, you would have to go back to every single article that has ever been created on this and change the format of the featured image. Jesus. And that's a yikes. That's a bit of a yikes. So.
But how many more years is this same design going to go on for?
I don't know. I guess it's just a matter of either doing that dirty work or shifting to a new host or just creating a new website from scratch. I don't know. Things will take place.
Website, yeah, but the same thing as well. The reason it's like this as well, I'm pretty sure this runs off WordPress, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a whole different story if you're trying to run it off a different site. If you go on Wix or something like that, you're still going to be paying a lot of money, and it's not going to bring in the return that you might.
I can't see a single advert on this, by the way.
You can't see any ads.
I can't see a single advert.
I've got advert on.
Okay, right. Take it off there for a second because I'm 99%. The thing is, I'm 100% sure that I had it before, because I remember that we had especially on our betting predictions, we used to do betting predictions, and there was always ads for Bet365 on it.
I don't think it's there.
Go on to the article. Go on one of the articles. See if it's there. It might not be there anymore. Maybe they just took it away because like I said, it's negligible anyway. But it doesn't seem like it's there.
Yeah, but I mean, things are coming. Just guys, if you're an RFN fan, stay tuned. And I've only got a couple more discussion topics.
I wonder if people from we've talked about Russian football, Twitter, the admins and stuff like that, they're listening. Yeah. It's more likely that people from RFN are listening. I wonder what they have to say about all this, because I really would love to hear David's opinion on it. I'd love to hear James's, Andrew's, all of those guys. I really want to know what the story is for RFN future, because it's definitely got a future, but it's just how best to kind of move it forward.
Exactly. No, I mean, I'm gonna be shipping. I'm gonna be whittling this episode out to just mad people in the Russian football industry. Hey, yo, bro, listen to this episode, please. Like, and I hope some people do give us their feedback.
See, that's kind of that's scarier, because now that makes me feel like this episode, if I've said something, someone might take it the wrong way, and I've said, this is the third time I'm saying, I cannot criticize anybody here on the Russian football Twitter whatsoever, because a lot of people, if not all the people, are a lot more talented in social media than I am. But
For sure.
We're putting forward our opinions based
Exactly.
on what we see and what we think would work and what wouldn't work. But don't get us wrong, you know more than us. So please correct us.
Exactly.
Please put forward, like, for example, like if someone from Spartak listens, please put forward your opinion on why it makes sense to twerk for football Twitter, and why it makes sense to, for example, like, insult Chelsea. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
can give me a good argument for it, then I'll take it on board. But if you can't, then that's just that's basically what I'm saying.
Exactly. Like we mean no ill will towards anybody. We love all of you guys. And if you think our podcast is trash, tell us. Please tell us. If you think it's trash,
there's a lot of things we could improve about this podcast as well. Don't get us wrong. Our audio quality is shit.
It is.
This thing that we have here on the browser, that's also pretty shit. Like, we can do a lot more, and we will do a lot more. Like last week, we tried out our faces. No one gave us any feedback, which is fine. Like, a lot of people don't want to give feedback, or people just don't really care. Maybe people listen to audio and don't really even look. That's fine. But if anyone has an opinion on whether that should be the case, like which way is better, we'd love to hear. And I'm sure a lot of the admins would also love to hear some feedback.
Exactly, because see, that's the thing. No one really is talking about this. No one. You'll never find many articles on like Russian football media and stuff. So we do hope that it helps anyone out. But like you said, Artem, working for FT, going back to that. Now, I'm sure you guys will agree with me when I say this. I feel like football Twitter is way, 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 way more influential in life and in world and in football media and in sport media than it should be. Because I have been on football Twitter. There were days, there was a whole year where I was peak football Twitter. And let me tell you something, it is not the community that should be pushing forward the entirety of the sport media business, right? It's a bunch of kids seeking attention. I was one of them, from any way possible. Some of them get out the ghetto, some of them don't. Some of them spend years on there and become like big accounts. But the culture that it has spawned, especially in football Twitter, is that because you look at the comments that are there on Spartak, the comments that are there on Zenit, on Real Madrid, on Bayern, on Roma or anything, and it's just people like FB Idolo. It's become a meme that has gone way too far at this point. And I feel like football content, especially football content, has become way too much about community and about numbers as opposed to, let's say, meaningful content or meaningful community. Because Artem, you're an NBA fan. We know how sick some of NBA content is. The videos they do, just the creative shit they do on the side. And Kai, what do you think of my little hypothesis over there? Do you agree with it? Do you agree that football Twitter is more important than it should be?
Completely, but I can also see an argument where football Twitter is genuinely massive. Because there's just so many accounts of it, and that if you need to justify to your boss of we need to improve X, Y, and Z in numbers, getting football Twitter to do that is just an easy way to go back to your boss and say, I did it.
Yeah, that's true. And I think, Artem, what do you think first?
You know what I think about football Twitter? Like, there's a really, like... Oh, I'll start with this. I think that football Twitter is a really good community for a lot of people, and like a lot of people make friends for life on there, and like it's just one of those things. A lot of people like on football Twitter, and let me know if this is not the case, but I think it is. I think a lot of those people who are on football Twitter and who religiously spend their time on football Twitter don't have much of a community elsewhere, and like it's where they kind of feel homely, and like I can understand why, because like when I was a kid, all like up until maybe 5 years ago, I didn't think about anything but football. nothing like. And I can completely understand that like other people are like that, and there's like they love the fact that they can talk about football with people all the time, 24/7. There's going to be someone awake. There's going to be someone who's doing this, and they almost take it as a badge of honor when a club follows them or a big account follows them or something like that. You know, it's like I can completely understand why football Twitter has grown to the level it has, because there's a lot of people out there who are looking for that community, that they just want to be part of something greater than them. But saying that, I think there is also a cancerous side to it, where like a lot of people are just really pricks, and like they'll dish out criticism after criticism and never there's a lot of accounts who like don't have their own faces or names, and like they're like named after footballers with like fucking shitty puns or something like that.
Magical manner.
Yeah, like stuff like that, and it's just like look, it's all well and good if you want to be part of the community, and like even as annoying as FB Adolo is, like fair enough if that's what you want to do. But like when people start being like, and there are a lot of accounts that like just dish out abuse to footballers and like threaten people's families and stuff like that, and like that's the real cancer stuff side to football Twitter. And then like in that regard, I think like those are usually the loudest accounts, and usually the ones that are at the forefront of like, you know, whenever media gets a hand on things. So like, I don't know. I think that football Twitter definitely has too much influence, but I can see why also, because there's clearly a massive community there.
You know what? The way you put that earlier point, I think I have to completely agree with you there as well. Is that because that was me, you know, because searching for that greater community a few years ago, and like you are right, it does come from when you're a kid and you know love football. It does come from a need for inclusion into something, and football Twitter is a great way for that. And I do agree that although it sounds sad, and this is a therapy session now, by the way, you are right when you say that it's at the end of the day it is harmless, except for if you're like sending death threats and stuff. But that is a good alternative point you raised over there. But
can I make a comparison to something else? And this is going to sound ridiculous, but you got to bear with me. Football Twitter is a bit like religion. That it is, because like it is a community of people who, like, you know, they follow all the same people, and no pun intended, but like they follow the same kind of people, and like it's just always on their heads and things like that. And a few people are extremists, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at what religion really is, it is that community. And like what God is in this community is football.
It's definitely a better analogy than my capitalism one was, and it is really. I see where you're going with it. That's a good analogy, honestly. I mean, I do agree. Kai, what do you think of Artem's point? And the thing, like, I think the main thing about my qualm with football Twitter being this impactful is that when you look at an account, or when you look at a club these days, and maybe that's always going to be the case because clout always works, right? The thing is, you could create some sensational content and it would just get shrouded in just mad FBA dolos, and it's not going to get so there could be a small, let's say, niche club in, I don't know, Israel or something, right? And they have their ideology that, you know what, we're not going to be FBA dolo merchants, we're not going to be any of that, but we are going to create some sensational content. It's going to be really high quality, and it might just not get the attention it should. Now, there is a broader argument here that quantity is at times larger than quality, and that quality quantity thing isn't always true. But what do you think? Like, what do you think of my little ramble?
Well, there's clubs that can do both. Like, for example, like a club who I think has a really good social media presence, and like I don't think it's a bad presence at all. Like, I think it genuinely is a really nice community. Is the Korzh Kazan one? Like, yeah. You like they even, like, I think it's a really cool idea that they've made their away kit in a way so that if you pay £10, I think it is, you get to have your Twitter handle or your name on their away kit for next season, which is really fucking cool. That's a really nice and cool thing. And like, even their community, like, they're not trying to be like FBA Dolo merchants.
They're very wholesome.
Like, they're super wholesome, and I think that, like, that works for some clubs and it doesn't work for some clubs. Like I think let's say if Spartak tried to be wholesome like that, probably wouldn't work because they're not a small club like Korzh. The same thing is if Korzh said like something like if they did the Leo Messi thing, probably wouldn't be, well, maybe it would be as funny, but like if they slag Chelsea, then it's like, well, you're a little bit out of your depth there.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, yeah, Kai, what do you think?
Artem sort of just took my point. I was going to say that whole sort of Russian non-league football area, shall we say, or community, sorry, sort of does what you said, where like the content is not focused on getting FB'd or idolled. It's more just a very tight community, but not one that I think could ever be a massive community. It works for the small of it, but it would never be massive, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think like Kai, you're absolutely right there.
Because actually, I have an entire segment because Kai also runs Zenit 2's Twitter account in English. They're a PFL club. No disrespect, Kai. But the Russian non-league, I have a whole separate little segment. But before we get to that, one question I have for you guys is, what is success on football media, on social media, on whatever? So when you look at, let's say, when you look at numbers, when you look at Bayer's 319,000 followers, and this isn't just Bayer, this could be anyone, these many likes, these many interactions, these many whatevers, right? What is that the final goal, or is that a means to something else? So do your followers translate into your club, let's say, making more money out of merchandise? Do your followers or do your interactions translate into more people watching your games, more people getting involved with your club, let's say, I don't know, like supporting your players and stuff? Are you, again, like, are you getting new sponsors? Are you getting more recognition worldwide? Kai, what do you think? What do you measure as success? Do you think followers are the end all be all, or do you think there should be a deeper quest, so to speak?
I think it depends club on club, and I'm going to use a Scunthorpe example here. Scunthorpe push match passes on iFollow a hell of a lot. They don't get a lot of interactions, but they sell those passes, which then in return I think is a better victory for the club than getting 20 likes on a tweet. I think it depends on club by club. Liverpool, for example, maybe global recognition and selling kits is maybe their end goal from what they get from followers and interactions. And I just think it depends entirely on who and what they want to do.
Right. Artem, what do you think?
I think there's two ways of really measuring this kind of stuff. Is like first of all is the intangible, and that's like, you know, like, is your club's reputation growing because of your Twitter and things like that? And like, okay, in some cases you might know that for sure because, you know, like your club could be tanking in the league, but somehow they still have they're still regarded quite well. In other ways, it's like tangible way, which is like, you know, shirt sales. Like, are you getting more people watching your team? Are you getting more views on your website and things like that? Like, are you getting things that really, like, you can see that this has come from Twitter? And I think, like, it's an interesting thing because we have Bayer Leverkusen on the page right now, right?
Yeah.
Of the 319,000 followers they have, how many do you think has actually resulted in someone supporting the club, like buying something from the club shop, going to a Bayer Leverkusen game, watching them week in, week out, that kind of thing? How many do you reckon?
5%.
That's way too high.
6,000 people, I think. Yeah.
That's way too high.
No, but I think do you include Bayer fans or do you just include?
No, I'm talking about people who have come specifically after the things they've done on Twitter, like.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 3,000, 1% minimum.
1% minimum. See, I'd say it's way lower than that. I'd say it's 0.25% or something like that. Like, look, like I said, I'm not a social media person or anything like that. Just based off
Yeah, I
a
mean,
lot of
there's no way
like
to
it tends to.
estimate that anyway. So like,
The
yeah,
thing is that if you look at even like, for example, like this is not the same thing, but if you look at influencers and stuff like that, the ones with more followers tend to get a way lower like success rate on selling products and stuff like that because they're just big. Like I think that like I'd almost argue that like Korzh, we're coming back to them. Even though they're so much smaller than Bayer Leverkusen, I reckon that they may have, not saying for certain, made more money than Bayer Leverkusen have from what they've done.
that's the thing. That was exactly what I was gonna say. Is that um, your intangible versus tangible argument is that, so the thing is, when I think of Bayer Leverkusen, the club, the Twitter account immediately comes to my head. When I think of AS Roma, the Twitter account immediately comes to my head.
Yeah.
When I think of, I don't know, Rotor, the club comes to my head, right? And the thing with that is, in the intangible, the intangible is that the stature of the club, Bayer, Spartak, Loco, Roma, has definitely grown due to Twitter. But the tangible is, if you look at Groza Kazan, right, they have
Yeah.
got proper money out of it. I think someone
Yeah.
is sponsoring their club for like 5,000 euros, like the stadium.
Yeah.
Then they have mad merchandise. They have their new kit. They have, it's essentially a fan run club, right? They've built their own thing out of it.
Yeah.
So in the intangible, you could say that um, these clubs are doing well for themselves. But in the tangible, you could probably say that the smaller clubs are doing well for themselves. Then you could also say that just for the brand, we just want the numbers because of our brand. We're Spartak. We don't need an extra shirt sale. We don't,
Yeah.
right? So that's nothing. Kai, what do you think? Have I already asked you this? Even if I have, what do you think still?
It's just it just depends on what the club and
Oh
the
yeah,
management's goal is. It's just I think it's as simple as that. Well,
that
it's not simple, but like if you put it on one certain thing, is what does that club want or what does that club want?
right. No, that's completely
Kai,
fair.
can I ask you something? For like at
Mm.
Zenit, like look, maybe you're not allowed to say this kind of stuff, but if would I be right in making the assumption that Zenit's thing for social media is purely, look, it's a numbers game. We want to get more recognized. We want to maybe put some bad media that we've had in the past behind us.
Mm.
We want to grow our reputation.
I can't disagree with that.
Okay, right. So if I took away the bad media thing, you'd have just outright agreed with me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you ask
Okay.
him? What did you ask him? What did
Moving
you
on.
ask him?
Moving on. Moving on. Moving on.
Wait, no,
Don't
no,
worry.
hold up.
We won't tell this. Show this to your bosses. Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like Kai's completely right. As it depends on which club it is. And clearly, like for Bayer Leverkusen or for Zenit or for someone else, it's about getting people on your side. Like it doesn't matter if they buy shirts or anything. It's getting people on your side. It's trying to just build a reputation of the club and have a positive association with that club. Whereas, for maybe smaller clubs like Kazan or like other clubs, it's more to do with viability and look, if we manage to get a sponsor for our stadium and if we manage to, get people to pay a tenner each for the jerseys, we might be able to get better equipment. We might be able to get a good coach. Maybe we get some marquee player for next season, and maybe that could propel us to the next level, and then we'll see what we'll do from there. So I guess
Yeah, no,
it's
I
like,
feel you. I feel you. Yeah.
but the one thing that we can I think all agree on is that social media in sports plays a massive role in no matter what you're trying to do. Like it's if you're trying to
Absolutely.
build your reputation, if you're trying to build your money, in some cases it works. Like
Absolutely.
it's worth it to have a good social media infrastructure there in the club. So
Yeah. And it doesn't cost as much. Like it really doesn't, even for a small club. But thing you Kai is not on the call. We cut Kai off the call. So everything here is allegedly, by the way. Kai, that's how you're free of any like beef, right? This is alleged.
Yeah.
You asked Kai if Zenit are like trying to push themselves because of previous bad media, right?
yeah. Well, look. I'm a Zenit fan. I I know that most of the shit that's been made up about Zenit is false, right?
Yes.
Like Kai, you know that probably more than anyone. Like haven't worked for the club and everything. Like a lot of the news that comes out, and it's nothing to do with like. I don't think it's a negative thing to say that you want to push back mad media behind you. I think it's just you want to push your side of the story, because when someone hears the name Zenit, they have bad associations. A lot of people have bad associations, especially in England. And now you're trying to push your side of the story, which is the right side of the story in 99% of cases.
That's the thing. I agree with you that somewhere in there, Zenit's the reason behind Zenit having a good English account is that to sort of push it as a soft power, because I do think Zenit's reputation has improved over the past few years, and a lot of it is due to the English account. But if you want to specifically talk about pushing their side of the story, in my personal, honest, humble opinion, I think they've done a pretty terrible job of that. Of simply when they receive bad media, the way they handle it, especially abroad, and even in Russia, at some instances, I think they've not done well. But I don't know. That's just me. That's just me. That's not Kai. That's not Artem. That's just me.
So I think that there's different things that like you can say about certain things. Like if there's certain media that comes out and just blatantly chats shit about things that have happened to Zenit, and I'm gonna name one example of this is when Malcolm made his debut for Zenit. I think that's a really, really good example because people made up absolute shit about Zenit. Like they made up things about the fans. They made up things about so many different things. Like they said that there was monkey chants. There were proven not to be any.
Exactly.
They've said that they said.
Did Zenit put out a statement after that?
No, that's the thing. I don't think they did. Exactly. And I think that it's just one of those things where, in that case, it was better to be silent. And I can completely understand why the media team and why everyone else at the Zenit was silent. I think that I'm not saying that they're. Well, I know I did say that they're giving their side of the story, but I think that they're pretty much just showing like who we really are as a club, if that makes sense.
On that stance, I completely disagree. I think if you have a previous reputation and if you know you're susceptible to stuff like this, and if you're being accused of such blatant lies, then you put out a statement, you deny everything, and if the banner, which was a very controversial banner, you say, hey yo, listen, we're banning those fans. They didn't ban the fans. I don't think anything happened to those fans, which is part of that story thing, that Landskrona rant we had here a while ago. I think if you say,
can you confirm if there was a post or not after that?
About what?
After Malcolm.
Did
Zenit release anything?
Yeah, there was a statement on the website.
Oh, my bad then.
Okay. Right. Well, see, like, I just feel like I can see how. Look, Hannah, there's a thing. It's just purely. I know that. You know, sometimes it seems like the best thing to do is to argue with somebody, but it's just human psychology that the minute you start arguing with someone, they get defensive and they only hold the opinion even more. Like this is what I think is Twitter is really, really getting quite cancerous in, for example, politics. One of the things is like I think that most people are fairly center on most things, but I think that some people are pushing it left and some people are pushing it right. And the more, literally, the more they argue, the more extreme they get because they're like, no, I'm right, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. And it just pushes people further apart. And I think that if Zenit tried to go in and make those arguments, it would just make those people who hate them already and are not changing their minds. Those people aren't open-minded people. They're not.
That's true.
And the only thing that it's going to do is push them further on their agenda. And I think that it's a really tough one to really it's a really tough one to gauge what you should really do. But I think like I said, I think Zenit have done a really good job on interacting with foreign fans and like really showing what the club is about. Like if you look at the interaction, Kai, was it when Celtic were playing against Zenit a couple of years ago?
That was lovely. That was lovely.
Like there was so much wholesome, so many wholesome tweets, so much wholesome content coming out, and like both sides just had like a lot of respect for each other. And I think that like. It's that kind of stuff that's really going to build your reputation rather than going out and arguing against things that are clearly false on your end. Like when something's false said about you, sometimes it's best not to say anything.
That is true. I mean, I can't disagree. Let us know in the comments what you think, because this is an argument which has no right or wrong answer. It's not even an argument; it's just a discussion. But do let us know what you think. And now the last thing, right? Finally approaching the end of this. It's been a long conversation, but we do hope you like it. Kai, suppose you start a football club in the PFL. Lokomotiv Kai, or Dynamo Hull or something like that.
Hang on. Can I just break this conversation for a few seconds?
Sure,
just to say,
go ahead.
Kai, Louis Coyle.
Honest to God, that I don't know if the microphone picked it up, but he literally rifles it from so far out into the corner of the net. It's so good, so good.
What's the score?
Yeah, 3-2. They
just down.
I'm going on the Hull goals thing. 94th minute
so
as well.
Good.
Limbs, Grant McCann in, Ihab Alam in. Let's go. Going up, Hull City Tigers Premier League 2023. We are in the money.
That's honestly that's so funny. I just saw that on Twitter and I was like, Jesus, Kai's done a really good job of staying silent.
Yeah.
I made a noise, but I don't know if it picked it up or not.
I don't think so. I didn't hear it.
I don't think it did. But now, fair enough. Up the Tigers. Let's go. Big up the Tigers. Kai, let's say, Artem, what do you call tiger in Russian?
Tiger.
He starts Tiger Hull. He starts Tiger Hull or something, right? PFL club. He wants to make money. He wants to make it successful on social media, right? He does his merchandise stuff, the Groza Kazan stuff. Kai, what other way is there for a small club like Zenit, or even the ways you found running Zenit too? How does a small club grow, Kai? A Russian small club, because Hull is in Russia now.
That's a tough question. I don't know how to answer that.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Can I ask you a question about the Zenit 2 account?
Yeah.
Do you reckon it's harder to gain followers on that account because it's the Zenit second account? Like, do you think that if you were like Chaika Pischanakowska or whatever you say their name is, like if you were one of them clubs, do you reckon that you'd be able to get more interactions, quicker followers, that kind of stuff?
Completely, yeah.
Yeah.
Academy football and that stuff is not big.
Yeah. I kind of suspected that might be the case, and even like people might go and see Zenit 2 and they're like, well, look, if it's going to be something interesting about Zenit 2, then Zenit will just retweet it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's rough, but Kai does a great job on it. Be sure to give it a follow. Artem, before we end, right? What is it that I've sent you? Is it actually as bad as it looks? That match premiere thing?
What are you talking about?
Go on your Twitter DMs, and Stefano Comfort.
Coyle is unbelievable, by the way.
Yeah, it is pretty unbelievable. Now go to your Twitter DMs, Artem.
Oh yeah, I saw that just there. So like, see, when I saw Stefano saying that, like, you're not allowed to say like underdog assist and okay and like performance and striker and things like that.
Yeah.
I had to look at the actual list of things in Russian.
Exactly.
And the reason that you're not allowed to say them is because they're English words. Like, it's not to do with like, oh, you're not allowed to say assist. It's just because in Russian there's a different word for assist, and they want to probably use golevoy pass, which is assist in Russian. Same thing as like they probably don't want to say coach because that's an English word.
Right.
It's more to do with that kind of stuff. Like they don't want to say no name. Like okay, like ref. Like, I know these are things that are like things that happen in football, but it's just kind of like I can kind of get it. Like, I'm not against it. It's not like they're trying to stop them from saying in Russian. It's more so to do with the Anglification of the Russian language. I think it's more to do with like, oh, let's actually just speak Russian. Let's not use a lot of English words are slang in Russian. Let's not use slang. Let's speak Russian.
So right. So this column you can say all that, right? These two.
Yeah.
And this one you can't. So what's the one in the middle?
Wait, hang on. There's some of the ones that. Am I reading that right?
You're a Russian Artem with hanging.
I think it says corner in the one that you're allowed to say, and then corner in the one that you're not allowed to say. Yeah, it does. What the fuck? So they've clearly duplicated some of these words, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
but yeah, like it says like in certain instances you're allowed to say the ones that are kind of like the third column. The fourth column you're not allowed to say like ever. So like I'll read the like. Oh jeez, I can't see that on the screen for some reason.
I'll read it. Underdog, assist, back, background, goleador. Why can't you say goleador? That's a Russian word.
Yeah, I don't know.
But there's mad words. There's keeper, corner, couch, underdog.
Coach.
My bad. Ref, roster. There's just mad words. Stopper, standby, stuff like that you can't say anymore. And match premiere. This is where Russian football's priorities lie. Like, this is where I don't know. This is a really weird list to put out. But that brings us to the end of this episode. We're 95 minutes, and it's not our longest episode, but it was pretty long. Kai, thanks a lot for coming on. You're an elusive tiger. It takes a lot of effort to bring you on. Hopefully, this is not the last time you're coming on this podcast.
Hopefully, I didn't chat too much nonsense.
That's what we do here. This is the place where you can chat all the nonsense you want, and no one's gonna judge you. But yeah, is there anything you'd like to promote? You have about 45 accounts that you would like to promote. So
you can tweet me any abuse on Twitter. We saw it at the start.
Kai _ Connell. Right.
Yeah. If I said anything wrong, please tweet me abuse.
Yeah, tweet him abuse for sure. I get behind that. Artem, anything you'd like to say? You'd like to do the honors yet again, as you always do?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so like Kyle, like Hanu said, it's a pleasure to have you on. I think you really gave some insight from, someone who's actually in the industry and does a lot of these things that, maybe from the outside we don't see. And it was super interesting to get your insight. So thanks again for coming on.
My pleasure.
And yeah, so like if anybody listening, let us know your opinions about all these things. Like undoubtedly, maybe if we were too harsh on anything, let us know. If there's anybody who's listening that we talked about their accounts, like please, like feel free to get DM us or comment like what you think. Like, do you agree with what we said about your account, or like do you disagree? Do you have a justification for some of the things you do, that we maybe just don't understand, personally, like, but yeah, like anybody listening, if you enjoyed, please leave a like on YouTube, gold star on Sportrex, all of that good stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. So see you next week.